In the Imperium of Man, even healing is an act of war. Beneath the cathedral spires of steel and bone, the medicine ward hums like a wounded god. Lumen lights stutter, casting halos over rusted instruments slick with consecrated blood. Behind sealed doors, the faithful scream, not in defiance but in prayer. The air tastes of oil, incense, and decay. Somewhere, a servo skull drifts by, chanting hymns through a cracked vox. And in that hollow chorus of agony and devotion, one question lingers like a dying heartbeat. Does the Emperor still hear the cries of those who survive? He awakens to the sound of metal breathing. A hiss, a click, the rhythm of pistons replacing the rhythm of a heart. His eyelids drag open like rusted shutters, and the world greets him with sterile light and the scent of iron and rot. The slab beneath him is cold, smooth, unfeeling, a mirror for the thing he has become. He tries to move, but his body responds like an echo from another lifetime. Something inside him hums, not pain, but current. Memory is a shattered pane. He remembers the battlefield only in fragments, mud, the thunder of lasguns, the sky burning with tracer fire. Then nothing, only the cold whisper of surrender. Now his limbs feel wrong. He looks down. His left arm ends in polished steel. Cables twist where veins once pulsed. His chest is laced with crude staples, his skin stretched tight and pale around tubes that pump fluids the color of machine oil. Every breath tastes artificial. The air trembles with chanting. Voices rise and fall in unholy harmony, each syllable both prayer and diagnosis. Medicine priests circle their altars, faces hidden behind stained respirators, hands bristling with tools. They speak not to the wounded, but to the machine god, as if healing flesh were an act of worship. Sparks leap from cauterizers like incense fireflies, illuminating walls painted with dried blood and holy script. To his left, a servitor carves open a man's abdomen with mechanical precision. The patient's screams blend with hymnals, indistinguishable. Another priest blesses the wound with sacred unguents, whispering, "The flesh is weak, but the purpose is eternal." The words echo through the ward, seeping into him like a curse. He tries to cry out, to ask where he is, but only a rasp escapes, half human, half static. The nearest priest glances toward him, eyes glowing red behind his mask. There is no compassion there, only recognition, the acknowledgement of another tool restored to use. Then the truth sinks in, cold and absolute. This is not a hospital. This is a forge. And he is not a patient, nor a man reborn. He is an offering, a sacrifice upon the altar of the Omnissiah, remade not to live, but to serve. Beyond the threshold of his metal slab lies the sanctum, a cathedral of agony masquerading as mercy. Here, pain is not a symptom to be cured, but a sacrament to be endured. The air hangs thick with incense and antiseptic, a fragrance meant to hide the rot that seeps through every seam. The walls glisten with moisture, condensation, blood, or perhaps both, and the hum of machines weaves with the low, droning chants of the Medicae priests. They move like specters through the haze, their robes heavy with oil and prayer. Each gesture is ritualized, each incision blessed. The lead chirurgeon raises a blood-slick hand and intones, "The flesh is weak," the acolytes answer in unison, "but the spirit endures." Then the saw begins to sing. Its whine cuts through the chamber like a choir of steel. Limbs fall, replaced by augmetics forged in reverence to the machine god. The scent of cauterized meat becomes incense, curling through the recycled air as if ascending toward some distant, mechanical heaven. The wounded cry out, their voices breaking against the stone, yet no one comes to silence them. In this sanctum, their screams are music, proof of faith, proof of function. One soldier, barely more than a boy, begs for death as his arm is severed at the shoulder. A priest leans close, whispering through a vox filter, "You are blessed, child. Pain is purity. Through suffering, the Emperor remakes us." The boy's sobs turn to ragged gasps, then to stillness. A servitor drags the body away, leaving behind only the echo of sanctified torment. From his place on the slab, the guardsman watches. His breath trembles with every echo of the saws. He begins to see the truth, the order beneath the horror. Each operation is a sermon, each mutilation an offering. The Medicae do not heal, they transmute. Broken flesh becomes sacred metal, frailty reforged into obedience. And in that twisted perfection, there is beauty. Awful, holy beauty. He feels it stirring inside him, that same mechanical rhythm that governs their hands. It whispers of purpose, of absolution through endurance. He realizes with a shiver of dread and awe that this is not a place of recovery. This is a forge. Every cry is a hammer strike, every wound a mold. The Imperium does not mend its servants. It reforges them into tools worthy of its endless, dying war. They bring him before the chief chirurgeon. The chamber is vast and dim, lit by the glow of suspended lumen orbs and the rhythmic pulse of cogitator banks. It feels less like a surgery and more like a shrine, a temple raised to the sanctity of suffering. The air thrums with whispered litanies, the hum of power tools, and the low murmur of vox prayers spoken in binary. The figure that stands before him is neither man nor machine, but something carved from both. The chief chirurgeon's frame is gaunt, his flesh stretched thin across steel. One side of his face is human, pale, wrinkled, and tired. The other gleams with metal, a polished skull adorned with optic lenses that click and focus with insect precision. Tubes coil from his spine into the walls, feeding him data and devotion alike. When he speaks, it is with two voices, one warm and weary, the other cold and mechanical. "Awake, Guardsman?" he asks softly. "Good. The Emperor has not forgotten you, though I sometimes wonder if he remembers any of us at all." He moves closer, his robes dragging the scent of oil and antiseptic. His hand, half bone, half servo, rests upon the Guardsman's chest. "You have been chosen for preservation," he continues. "Few earn such grace. Most are permitted to die." The Guardsman tries to speak, but only a croak escapes. The chirurgeon tilts his head almost kindly. "Ah, do not strain yourself. Words are unnecessary now. The flesh has been catalogued. Your suffering has been measured. What remains of you belongs to the Omnissiah." A gesture and a servitor glides forward, its arms filled with glass cylinders. Within them float human organs, hearts, lungs, eyes, each tagged with purity seals. "These," the doctor says reverently, "were taken from those who were beyond redemption. Waste not, want not. To save a man's life is to bind his soul to service. To spare him pain is to steal his faith." He turns away, voice deepening, as if reciting scripture. "Pain is the truest form of worship, Guardsman. In agony, we remember the Emperor's sacrifice. In mutilation, we achieve purity. The flesh rebels, but the machine obeys." The Guardsman's gaze drifts to a nearby table. A child-sized frame lies there, half-built, its skull open to receive a mind. "Servitors," the chirurgeon murmurs, following his eyes. "A necessary transformation. The body you relinquish shall serve a higher order. Your organs will bring function to another. Your pain will be transmuted into purpose." He looks back with something like pity, or perhaps pride. "Rejoice, soldier. You are not dying. You are being repurposed." The words settle like ash in the Guardsman's mind. He understands now. Healing is not an act of compassion here. It is a transaction, a conversion of flesh into faith. The chirurgeon smiles faintly, his lenses narrowing. "Mercy," he whispers, "is the truest cruelty." And with that, the lights dim, and the machines begin to sing. The Ward of the Forgotten, 450 words. They wheel him through the corridor of rust and hymns, where the light flickers like the heartbeat of a dying star. The air grows heavier, colder. He smells iron and sanctified decay. When the doors hiss open, he sees them, the Forgotten. The chamber stretches endlessly, filled with rows of cots that seem older than the men they cradle. Here lie the remnants of the Emperor's servants, the ones too broken to return to battle, yet too useful to die. Bandages stained brown with age bind faces that no longer resemble men. Tubes snake into mouths and throats, pumping life not out of mercy but maintenance. Some bodies twitch in their sleep, jerking to the rhythm of machines that refuse to let them rest. The Guardsman's cot is placed among them. The servitors depart without a word, leaving behind the soft hum of life support and the faint murmur of prayers. It takes him moments to realize the whispers are coming from the others. Their voices are cracked, papery, like relics trying to remember how to speak. "They said we'd be healed," murmurs one, his eyes replaced by dull augmetic lenses. Said the Emperor's light would guide us home? He chuckles, a hollow sound, rust scraping rust. But the light never came. Only the machines. Another turns his head, skin stretching thin across metal implants. Do you hear them? He rasps. The angels in the vents, they sing to us at night. The machine god whispers in their throats. The guardsman listens, and for a moment, he almost believes it. The vents above exhale softly, like distant voices murmuring benedictions. He wonders if the whispers are data streams or hallucinations, or something older, deeper, beyond reason. Across from him, a dying sergeant leans forward, his face half hidden beneath tubes. "You're new," the man croaks. "Still think you'll walk out of here?" His tone is almost kind. "No one leaves the Medicae, soldier. You just change forms. Some get new limbs, some become servitors, some become parts of the walls. Silence follows, heavy as a prayer. The guardsman stares upward, the light flickering over his steel fingers. For the first time, he does not feel fear, only an endless, aching calm. He understands now what mercy means in the Imperium. Not deliverance, not peace, but purpose that never ends. In this place, the living envy the dead, and the dead are the lucky ones. They come for him in the hour of false dawn, when the lumen lights fade and the air smells of burned oil and incense. Servitors glide silently through the ward, their mechanical limbs clicking in solemn rhythm. They do not speak. They simply lift him from his cot and bear him down corridors that feel narrower with every turn. The walls seem to pulse, alive with the murmurs of machines. Somewhere far above, a hymn echoes, slow, reverent, merciless. He is placed upon another slab, this one colder, cleaner, as though purity were measured in degrees of sterility. The chief chirurgeon stands above him again, flanked by acolytes with blank eyes and trembling hands. "Rejoice," the doctor intones, voice layered with static. "The Omnissiah has chosen you for refinement. Pain is transmutation, and through it, we ascend. They begin without anesthesia. Needles slide beneath his skin, blooming fire in his veins. Blades hum awake, their edges haloed in surgical light. Every cut is deliberate, every incision followed by a whispered prayer. The sound of saws fills the air, harmonizing with the murmured hymns. Metal scrapes bone. Something wet and vital hits a tray. He tries to scream, but the sound never comes. The machine has stolen his breath, feeding it into tubes that hiss like serpents. Consciousness flickers. He sees lights above him, golden, radiant, and for a fleeting moment he imagines the Emperor's gaze upon him. Warmth floods his mind, and he dares to hope that death has finally come, but the light shifts, sharpens. It is not divine. It is the surgical lamps reflecting off the chirurgeon's metal skull. The procedure continues. His flesh unravels in layers replaced by steel and circuitry. He feels his heartbeat falter, replaced by the pulse of mechanical rhythm. His mind begins to fracture, flickering between delirium and revelation. He sees visions, saints of metal weeping molten tears, angels made of wires singing praises to the machine god. He remembers praying for life once, begging the Emperor not to let him die. But now, as the chirurgeon whispers, "perfection through pain," he prays for an ending that will never come. Hours pass, or perhaps centuries. Time dissolves beneath the weight of agony. When silence finally returns, he lies still. The pain is gone, completely, eerily. The world feels distant, muted, as though wrapped in glass. He opens his eyes. The light no longer blinds him. It filters through lenses that adjust automatically. He breathes but does not feel the breath. His heart beats but not in his chest. The chirurgeon leans close, inspecting his work, and smiles. "Magnificent," he murmurs. "Pain has done its duty. Now you will serve without weakness." The guardsman does not answer. He cannot. Somewhere deep inside, the last ember of his humanity flickers and goes out. When consciousness returns, it does not come as thought. It comes as code. He wakes to silence, but within that silence hums a chorus. Faint whispers, too ordered to be madness, murmur inside his skull. fragments of data prayers, binary hymns reciting his own designation. Subject, sanctified. Flesh, purified. Function, restored. The words ripple through his mind like echoes in water, each one hollow, perfect, eternal. He stands. The motion feels alien. Joints glide without friction. Servos whir softly beneath synthetic muscle. His reflection shimmers on a wall of polished steel. A stranger stares back. Where scars once marked his body, now seamless plates of metal gleam beneath faded remnants of flesh. His eyes no longer blink. They adjust. His heartbeat is the rhythm of machinery. The whispers return, clearer this time, like angels speaking through a machine choir. You are healed. You are chosen. Through you, the Omnissiah endures. Each voice speaks with the calm certainty of faith, and though he does not wish to believe, he finds himself nodding, an instinct no longer his own. He walks the corridor of the medicine one last time. The walls pulse with pale light, and from behind sealed doors come the familiar sounds. The saws scream, the wet thud of sanctified surgery, the hymns of pain rising like incense. New patients are brought in on stretchers, faces pale, eyes wide. They will awaken as he did. They will beg. They will serve. He passes one slab where a man thrashes, praying for mercy. For a moment, the guardsman feels something. Recognition, pity, perhaps the shadow of what once was compassion. It flickers briefly, then fades to static. The cogitators whisper again, louder now, surrounding him like a heartbeat. Purpose is mercy. Pain is purity. You are the vessel of his will. He stops before the great medicine seal, a golden skull entwined with wires, and feels his mind merging with the machine's hum. The boundary between thought and circuitry dissolves. His memories blur into data, his prayers into programming. Somewhere, deep within the endless rhythm of gears and code, the last echo of his human voice asks a single question, faint, fading, unanswered. Was I ever truly healed? Somewhere, buried beneath the hum of cogitators and the hymn of pistons, a memory stirs. It is fragile, soft as the flicker of a candle in the wind. Yet it burns brighter than all the sacred plasma light in the Medicae. He remembers a voice, not the mechanized drones of priests, not the sterile chants of devotion, but something alive. His mother's voice, gentle, trembling, carrying the warmth of a world he can no longer name. She used to sing to him, he thinks, when the nights were cold and the stars still looked like promises instead of distant fires of judgment. Her words are lost now, but the tone remains, human, imperfect, kind. The sound cuts through the static for just a moment, a whisper from another lifetime. And in that moment, he realizes how long it has been since he last heard something purely human. No metal, no creed, no pain. Just breath and heart and hope. The thought unsettles him. He looks at his hands, or what remains of them. The faint glint of steel where bone once was. The rhythmic hiss of pneumatics where veins once pulsed. His chest rises and falls in perfect mechanical sync, but the breath feels borrowed, the heartbeat artificial. Each pulse echoes like a ticking clock counting down to the end of something sacred. He wonders, then, if the Emperor, that distant golden god enthroned upon his rotting machinery, still remembers what a heartbeat sounds like, does he know the scent of rain? The warmth of blood? The trembling of hands that build and break in the same moment? Or has he too become like this, eternal, efficient, hollow? The whispers return, wrapping around him like chains of light. Purpose is mercy. Service is salvation. He listens, but now, beneath the cold logic of faith, he hears something else. Silence. The silence between words. The silence that once held life. A final clarity settles upon him. There was never healing here. Only transformation. The Medicae did not mend the wounded. It repurposed them, reforged them, erased them. Mercy was an illusion, crafted to make obedience bearable. And he, like countless others, had mistaken survival for salvation. His breathing slows, perfectly measured, perfectly still. Around him, the machines hum their endless litany, each rhythm identical to the next. The line between man and mechanism dissolves completely. His final thought drifts like ash through the circuitry. In a galaxy of endless war, mercy has no place, only purpose. The lights dim. The hum fades. The great medicine engines continue their sacred work, unending, unfeeling. Somewhere, within that infinite machinery, a pulse still beats, steady, mechanical, eternal, echoing through the void where once a man had lived, loved, and dreamed, and then, at last, there is silence.